Hey y'all, so we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. I want to read that Exodus 10 verse 8 through 11 from the Message translation as well. Sometimes, you just love the wording. And so Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, go ahead then, go worship your God. Pharaoh said, just go. But just who exactly is going with you? Yeah, like he says go, and you're like, okay, that's great, we're going. And then, but just who? It would have been so much better off if you had not asked a follow-up question. If you'd just let us go with that. He said, so just who exactly is going with you? Moses said, we're taking young and old, sons and daughters, flocks and herds. This is our worship celebration of God. And Pharaoh said, I'd sooner send you off with God's blessings than let you go with your children. I'd sooner send you off with God's blessing than to let you take your kids. And then later on in the chapter, so the locusts come, that's the next plague. Moses and Aaron are actually called back to Pharaoh. Verse 16 says, then Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I've sinned against the Lord your God and you. Now therefore forgive my sin, I pray, only this once, and entreat the Lord your God that he may remove from me this plague of death. And of course Moses went before the Father, the plague was removed, and let's see, verse 24. Pharaoh called to Moses and said, go serve the Lord and let your little ones go with you. Okay, so now Pharaoh says, you can take your little ones. Go, I'll even let you have your kids. Go with your families. But let your little ones go with you. It is only your flocks and your herds that must not go. So Pharaoh is still trying to barter. He's still trying to change the terms of God saying, let my people go. And so he's still trying to have some control factor here. And dealing with us as humans, it could be reasonable, this is in the natural, for us to say, he's letting us go, he's letting our families go, letting our kids go. We can start over with herds. we can start over with flocks. But Moses says, you must give into our hands also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. Our livestock shall also go with us. There shall not be a hoof left behind of them, for we must take them to serve the Lord our God. And we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we arrive there. So you're probably thinking, what in the world is she doing with these verses? But I want you to see, Pharaoh and Egypt, particularly at this stage in the game, is the world. It is the world rule. It is the kingdom, the Babylonian system, which would be the substitution system for the kingdom of God. It is man's way of doing and being right. It is man's rule. It is man's strength. It is everything opposite of the kingdom of God. And so when the word of the Lord came and it was time for Israel to be delivered, he sent messengers to Pharaoh and said, let my people go. And Pharaoh said, okay, but you can't take your kids. You can't take your families. And Moses said, that's not the deal. That's not the word. So they come back again, and Pharaoh says, well, take your families, but you can't take your animals. You can't take your livestock. You can't take your herds. You take your little ones and go. But that was not enough. It was not enough. And we're we're going to dig into tomorrow why it was not enough. Bye, y'all.